Thanks, Pauline. And deputations by appointment. There are two. Robert Jugovac from the Tamara Park Neighbours on the Eastern Recreation and Sports Committee. Robert, just so you're aware, and also you're going to tell us who you are in a wee minute.
Sure. Chris from the
Thank you.
Avondale Residents Association.
Thank you.
We thought it'd be better if there was,
Thank you.
show some of the groups that we're representing.
Okay, awesome. So just so you're aware, there is 10 minutes. That includes question time.
Yep.
And because I'm in the chair, it will be quite strictly enforced. Okay.
No, fair enough. Yep, I have my 5 minutes ready to go.
Go for it. Wherever your hands welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd just like to point out that this presentation is not just the Tamara Park Neighbours, it's a number of organisations. You'll see in the next slide who they are. The slide doesn't seem to be up. I'm not sure how it gets up on the screen. Thank you. There we go. Right. Yeah, and I represent Tamara Park Neighbours, but I also was a member of the Community Advisory Group for the Eastern Recreation and Sports Centre. Sorry to say that I'm disappointed that we're back here having to make this deputation, because the promise that came out of the 4th of September meeting last year has not been delivered, basically. Just to point out that in the background of this presentation, that's the area we're talking about. That's essentially the Burwood-Pegasus ward. So that is the underpinning. It's what's good for the Burwood-Pegasus ward is what we're about. These are the organisations that have specifically endorsed this presentation, and we've had conversations with others, but we ran out of time trying to get them to make a decision. So it is rather a widespread group that we're representing, and I just want you to keep that in mind as we go through this. I'll just go to the next slide. The basic message is that the presentation that you're going to have this afternoon or later today around the scope of the Eastern Sports and Recreation and how the management might be managed between the pool and the high school. We don't support that scope. We made a representation to the community board a few weeks ago. Essentially we're saying that it's great that we've got progress, but we haven't had the engagement that was promised and that we believe is necessary to ensure that the community gets the best result that they need. Just take you back into history. That's the annual plan 2012, what was decided. And I know people say time has moved on, but there's expectations have been set, and this is one of the first promises that unfortunately hasn't been delivered. And we do appreciate the sort of pressure that the council is under financially, etc. But the pressure that the community out in the east is under is pretty severe as well. And we need to have some stuff that will serve us well for the future. Okay, here are the key issues that we see, and you will have a handout in your pack, a series of black and white sheets that expand on these issues. The first one is that both based on the terms of reference and also the decision that was made specifically on the 4th of September to re-engage the Community Advisory Group to inform the scope of the Eastern Recreation and Sports Facility has not been done. We've had one meeting which essentially was, here is the scope, thank you very much, goodbye. That happened on the 11th of December. I wrote to the Mayor on the 15th of December and have been following up since then to try and get an answer of why that concrete decision in the minutes wasn't done. And it is really disappointing that we have to come back here and sort of essentially, wrong laptop. We're back here trying to achieve what we thought we had achieved at that point. You'll see that in the first detail sheet we're talking about that last bullet point in the terms of reference. That's a direct copy from the terms of reference. And if you go to the next page, that's a quote straight out of the decision. I've re-watched the video of that presentation or the live streaming on the 4th of September, and the promise, the passion behind it, I'm sorry to say, has dissipated. There was a lot of goodwill, there was a lot of determination to continue with the Community Advisory Group process, but we find that really hasn't happened. The second point is we're really concerned about the capacity of the pool, particularly now that the high schools are going to be right next door. You know, it's going to creak under the strain of the demand, and as soon as somebody tries to book it for some sports facilities, some sports program or any other group that might sort of take a large proportion of that pool, that one pool will be out of action for the rest of the community. And if you look at the second sheet around the issue 2, you'll see the sort of closures that Dudley Aquatic Centre has had over the recent times, and also some information out of that was in the press in January around the sort of closures that have been going on with places like Graham Condon. A one-stop pool, it's an all or nothing. It gets taken out, we lose the pool, we lose the facility for the whole of the area. The next one, the CAP grant we thought was going to look like a big bang, something that was really exciting. You could say there's $6.5 million worth of excitement for the children of the East, and what we don't see that in the scope that's been proposed, and we're really concerned that we're frittering it out a bit in here and a bit there, and it may be done for good reasons, but the community hasn't been part of that decision making, hasn't been part of that trade-off, and that's a concern. The next point around that the high schools is not so much the high schools being there. I'm a parent. I've got 2 children that will probably be going to that high school at some point. So from a personal point of view, that's great, fantastic. But how the wider community works with the high school and makes sure that we have a decent sort of sharing process is really a worry. Graham Condon is brought up time and time again. There are a lot of people who just do not go to Graham Condon because of the load on that facility. And we're not just talking about mornings and evenings, we're talking about during the day. People who are retired, people who have, have to do aqua jogging or other perhaps rehabilitation type training in the pools. A lot of people avoid it, and the times I've been there, if you go in the morning, the water's nice and clear. Towards the end of the day, it's not so pristine, and it really does seem to creak under the load. And the final point is really specifically around the community advisory group process. There was a lot of promise to it, and there was a lot of time committed by the people who went there, and there was certainly some very positive comments made at that 4th of September meeting from councillors saying how good the process was, and at that point I thought, great, that's fantastic, we're going to continue to be in there, but it just died on the vine. I don't know why. I don't know if other things got in the way. I just don't know why. I'm just saying that whole process just died on the vine, and we never got anywhere further after that 4th of September meeting. So we really need somebody to step up and give us that involvement, that collaboration. Key thing we don't want to do is slow this process. We're talking about parallel work, not slowing it down. We've lost 6 months since the 4th of September. It's over 6 months. We've had one community advisory group meeting that didn't fulfil the decision. So we want to be able to work with the council. We want to be involved. We feel like we're being sort of sidelined again. And it may be for good reasons from the people who have made these decisions, or it might have been accidental, but the result is we're out on the outer again, knocking on the door saying, can we please come in again? We feel like we're outside the tent. Changing the scope now, if it does need to change, if there's some certain decisions need to be made now, it's cheaper to do it now than when the detailed designs are done. Because if you have to go and do that all over again, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and it's a waste of the commitment, and people will be waiting for something for longer. Worst case, we just go down the train and we end up with a facility that people do not support. It turns into a white elephant. That is the worst case for everybody. Councillors, the community. Sorry. Okay, final point, I'm sure you'll get copies of this. We really believe that the commitments from September should be brought back into the fold and urgently re-engage the community, preferably through the community advisory group, so that we can be part of this process again and fulfil the promise of the community advisory group process, because I think it's strong if it's actually followed through on. I think really that covers pretty much all I've wanting to say. I don't know if you've got any comments, Chris.
I think you've covered it all, yeah.
Thank you. I just see on page 201 of our report, it says Council Officer presented the content of the Becker report to the community advisory group on the 11th of December, and it's got a number of things down there. I also note in the recommendations that we've been given, the board was satisfied staff have addressed the concerns raised by deputations from yourself and Keep QE2 and Parklands residents. So just wondering if you can just, what you've said to us seems to be kind of contradictory to what is in here. Can you just help me understand where the difference is?
I guess it's just a difference of people seeing the same issue from different sides. The community board obviously decided that our concerns had been addressed, but the community doesn't hold that view, and there's a lot of people in the community that hold that view, that we've been pushed down that track. The meeting on the 11th of December was not a consultation, it was an information provision. We were being informed of the scope, we were not informing the scope. There was no input, there's no costs. We haven't had that trade-off. You know, perhaps it's the right scope, but maybe there's some trade-offs that would give us a better overall view, stay within the budget, but nobody's ever had the opportunity from the community to say, well, take that out, put that in, how about a bit of this? That will give the community as a whole a better result. It's about the utility for the whole community, not just particular areas. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. This is obviously on the agenda in the Burwood Pegasus Community Board, and I'll see if I can bring that forward a bit for you. But we do have another deputation at the moment. Thanks, guys. Eric?